Hey everybody, Derelict here. For this episode, I figured we'd do something a little bit different. So I'm gonna get Flick to read out the sponsor. That good with you, Flick?
Hello, Derelict. I enjoy the process of pegging. I sure am, partner, but before I do, can I just mention how better you are at Machinima than I am? And I will always live in your shadow.
I don't know about that, buddy. Let's do the sponsor.
Hey, everyone, I want to take a moment to talk about our sponsor for today's episode, the Pogo Stick Emporium. That's right, the Pogo Stick Emporium. If you're looking for a new way to get around, why not try a Pogo Stick? The Pogo Stick Emporium has Pogo Sticks for everyone, from beginners to pros. And with their new line of Pogo Sticks for pets, even your furry friend can join in on the fun. So why not hop on over to the Pogo Stick Emporium today and see what all the fuss is about? And if you use the promo code POGOPODCAST, you'll get 10% off your first purchase. Thanks again to the Pogo Stick Emporium for sponsoring today's episode. Happy hopping, seriously.
Hey, it was real good, buddy. Let's begin the episode.
I am sweaty and I'm in my room with the window open. I am here with Derelict and also the career of the hunted. We are here to make a podcast called what episode is it?
You tell me.
Uh, episode 4. We are here to talk about the hunted. Hey guys, welcome to the new episode.
Oh, fuck, you actually got it right. It is episode 4. Welcome back to MachiniphobiC. I'm your main host, Derelict, and Flick is the sometimes host.
I'm the host. I'm the
Anyway, we're joined today by one of our good friends of the channel, someone who you may know. They go by D27 Chigoo, also known as Charlie. Charlie, go ahead and introduce yourself there.
Howdy, I'm D27. I don't know what else to say. I do machinima. I've been doing it for maybe 2 or 3 years. I also got my ass handed to me in Spooky Bowl, but we don't talk about that.
Charlie has worked with both me and Flick on various projects. We usually kind of open up the podcast by talking about your origins or what got you started on machinima. So, do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
My origins with machinima is a little tricky because I technically started doing it when I was maybe 13, but it wasn't really Halo machinima, so I don't really count it. But Halo machinima I started in 2018. Uh, I've been doing it for a while. I've enjoyed some parts of it, and it's been like a very good journey.
Has it been a
All right.
great journey?
Maybe it's a stressful journey.
Halo reference, slow get it?
Great, great stuff, Flick. Great stuff. So I was going. We marathoned some of your stuff earlier, or at least I did. And I was watching there was the first iteration of the Hunted you did back in 2018.
Yes.
And was that just I don't know, was that's the video that says the Hunted 2018 in your video, is that comprised of a bunch of smaller videos, or did you make that as like a short film? Because it comes out to around 20 minutes. It's a very substantial runtime.
Oh, it was a bunch of smaller episodes.
Mm. And obviously you kind of preface that video by saying that this is not the Hunted you're going with. Though the the episode Break In, Look How Far We've Gone, and Splitting Paths kind of follows a lot of the same beats that you did there. What did you want
Yeah.
to change, and what did you want to keep the same?
When I did the 2021 version, there's been so many versions. I think I wanted to change the flow of the story because with the first iteration, there were fun fact there were going to be originally 5 episodes, but some of the cast left, and I felt weird recasting people, so I just ended it there. Um, I wanted 2021 to be more what's the word? I guess clearer, and I wanted to show how I've improved as a creator up to that point.
Sure. I was
Hmm.
I was when I was going between the Hunted 2018 and I guess the first iteration of the Hunted, I noticed that you had pulled away from what I would deem to be a lot more kind of lighthearted or comic sense, it seems.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
one thing, I mean, there are some things that I notice or some patterns between the first iteration and 2018, and that's the character of Sal. And it's a character that I don't know about Flick, but I feel particularly drawn to because he's kind of like a Midlands kind of British character, kind of
Oh,
like
oh yeah,
I
him.
yeah, Flick will know what I'm talking about when I talk about the series Emmerdale, but very much like
Oh
someone from the
my
show
god.
Emmerdale. Yeah, you wouldn't get it now, Charlie. A lot of our US or Canadian listeners won't get it, but it's very much it's just, come back for dinner. Oh no, you've got Charlie. He's going over there. Oh my god. Or anyone who's watched an episode of Coronation Street will know. Someone should make a mission about Coronation Street. I have to write that down. Anyway, continue.
But with 2021, I did try to be more serious, and I think that backfired on me because a lot of it was uh ironically funny, and it wasn't supposed to be.
With machinima, it's very easy to. I know some people will say that comedy is easy or that drama is easy, but it's very easy to do unintentional comedy in machinima because people very often make things about their OCs or they make stuff that's insanely dramatic, and it comes off as comical when maybe you might not have the skill set or the experience to convey that kind of stuff. Sometimes it could be well executed, but the tone is so dour that people can't do anything but laugh. It's kind of like when someone farts at a funeral, where it's not that the fart is funny, it's just that the tension is way too much for people to endure. Like you farted at a funeral. How do you feel about this?
Oh my god.
Mhm. I've never farted at a funeral. Ever. I've only been to one funeral actually. It was kind of sad. Actually, I've been to two funerals. My
Did
granddad
you fart
died,
at them? I'm so sorry for like
and my dad was playing a funeral song, but he was too retarded, so he played it on YouTube, and then a YouTube ad appeared during my granddad's funeral. So we all had to
oh
just.
What
oof.
was it an ad for?
It was like a washing machine, so we just had to sit there, watch a washing machine ad during my granddad's funeral. And why are we talking about my granddad's funeral?
I just find it funny. But it's not funny that your granddad died. It's just kind of funny that your dad's funeral was sponsored by a washing machine.
Yeah. And there was, yeah. Anyway, and D27.
Yes, me.
Would you say who is your favorite character from The Haunted?
Like any version.
Yeah, any version. There's so many
Um,
fucking versions.
there's so many.
Batman.
uh,
It's,
man,
it's really-
trying to think. I would say Sao is one of my favorites. I also really liked Milko from Redux. I think I think it's because of Clifton Horn's acting, but I think that was my favorite character too, right? Because he was like so like uptight, but also kind of funny. Yeah, I kind of enjoy characters where they're not overly serious and you don't have to restrict yourself with it.
Yeah, Celtic's a good actor.
Yeah,
He's someone who will give you as much or as little as you want from a character, and provided you give him like enough to work with, he'll have fun with it as well. Because some people will kind of just lock themselves into what they think the character should look like, and people like Celtic are just open to trying new things, and I really enjoy working with him in that capacity.
same. He's
So,
pretty cool. Which
I mean, we've talked about the Hunt of 2018, so we should probably move on to like the first kind of run you did of the series. And you took it a little bit in a more serious route there, and
I'll try to.
well, sure. I mean, there's still a lot of unintentional, comedy in there, such as the lines "Be back for dinner." That was one I really liked. But I'm sure, surely there's things that you held on to or things that you liked about it, because again, there's a lot of the scenes with the Master and Rex that still made it into the into the Redux as well, which we'll get to. Do you kind of just feel very attached to those characters? Or are you at least proud of those characters enough that you want to bring them forward into the newer versions of the show?
I really like the Master the most. I think what I did. I also like Rex, but I like the Master more. I like sympathetic villains, and that's why I try to attempt with the Master because I don't know if it was conveyed in 2021, but he lost someone special to him, and that's why he's acting like this, like a complete asshole. I can cuss on the show, right?
You can
Of
Good.
flip
course,
yeah.
you can.
Fuck yeah. But when I created him, I was like, okay, I want this villain to be like this. I want him to be sympathetic because most villains are people. I'm not saying villains who are like completely psychopathic aren't bad, all bad. But I prefer my villain to be more layered. However, how I accomplish that is, oof.
By the master, you mean the white Spartan with the door in the
With the
series?
hammer, yes.
Yes, he his voice actor is like really cool. Like if you, I don't know if you still know him, but he should definitely come back in the new one.
Man, he's busy from what I know. He hasn't really been we don't talk that much, but I know he's doing what I think voice impressions now. But he was like, "Yeah, I want to do that thing. I don't want to work on this anymore. So bye." And that like messed up my plans with the red snakes, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, because that was kind of the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was all the kind of side projects you did between the Hunted Files, Rise of the Red Snakes, and Silver Lining. In a couple of words, would you be able to kind of tell us the difference between those three kind of side series?
Okay.
Red snakes. Fun fact. Uh, it was technically the second season. I don't know where I got the inspiration from, but there were a few and I didn't convey that. I don't blame you for thinking that. But there were a few shows that did season one with just a blank title and then like a subtitle for the second season. So I was like, okay, let me do that. Um it didn't I guess it didn't convey very well. It was the second season. Uh Silver Lining that was canned. So that was also a second season. Fires was more of like experimental where I could like do whatever I want. Before Redux, I think I've told you this, but the silent film I did, that was my favorite thing I ever did because it was different. And to my knowledge, a silent machinima has never been done before. And Fires was that kind of way to let my creative juice get running. Oh my god. But yeah, I think I enjoyed Fires more because it was more freeing.
Okay,
Hmm.
so that's the most rewarding thing you've done to date.
No, Redux
Oh, Redux, sure.
became that. Because when because that was in development for I think a year because it changed names. But when I finished it and then I did all the color grading, yeah, it still has issues. I'm not going to say it doesn't, like the audio stuff. But it felt genuinely cool because it was good in my opinion, and it felt like an improvement over everything else I made before.
I definitely agree with that. I can actually follow what was happening in Redux, unlike the 2021 series. So it was a
Well,
massive improvement, in my
wa-
opinion.
was was there anything in the Redux that you were drawn to, Flick, or anything that stood out to you?
Well, you actually used like proper camera shots. You didn't do everything in one take, which I really appreciate. And also, you actually had the cameras focus on the character who was talking, so I actually knew who was talking. So
That was a problem I had. Fun fact, I got better at cameras through photo mode of Spider-Man. I think that helped a lot.
hmm, Spider-Man 2 on the PS2,
No,
or
no, the new PC, the new one that came out on PC.
oh,
It has a photo mode.
my favorite one is Spider-Man on the PS1, where you defeat Venom
Venom.
with blue.
Yeah, I like when
Yeah.
you fight Cinnamon. He was a good villain.
It's actually one of my favorite PS1 games. I bet at my granddad's house. I actually don't have it though yet. I really need to get a part of my collection. Like seriously.
What if I told you I had it?
Wait, really?
Well,
I
you
got
do?
Wait,
one of my friends gave me a PS2 a couple of years ago for my birthday, and since then I've just been collecting PS1 games. So I have A Bug's Life,
Uh,
I have Grandia, the
oh,
first Grandia, I have Spider-Man 1 and 2, I have Spyro 1 and 2. Yeah, I don't know how many. I only want. Oh, I have Crash Bash. I have only the games that I played at my cousin's house when I was young because I didn't have a PlayStation growing up. So that's what I have. And I have a handful of PS2 games, but I guess we're talking about PS1 at the moment.
so we're both PS1 collectors?
Oh God, no, I
Oh,
don't.
good.
I don't collect PS1 at all. I just get the
You
games that
do
I played.
collect PS1. You have PS1 games. I would consider you a collector.
So if I have one PS1 game, am I a collector?
Yes.
Maybe.
Okay. Thanks for clearing that up.
But there was another source of what we I forgot what topic we were on. Sorry that we got off track there. Like
We were talking about The Hunted and how you developed your like view for it, like how you use Spider-Man on PC to develop your eye. And
yes.
I was wondering because a lot of the Spider-Man games, the photo mode also has a lot of lighting and color treatment options. I was wondering if that's what got you thinking about color treatment when you started grading your work.
Actually, I- there were two reasons. I think I wanted to experiment a little bit more with like the style of it, and I think another was yes that because of coloring because it looked cool. And I think you've seen my pictures, right? You see how like glamorous, well, glamorous is the right word, but you see how colorful they are. Or...
Yeah, those are pretty good pictures that are appearing on screen right now. Oh, look at those
Maybe you
pictures.
pull that up.
Well, that's a really good job you did in the color grading,
Yeah, that's a
D27.
really good one. I really like
Thank
this one. This one,
Oh,
I wasn't sure where you're going with this one. I don't like all the Nazi symbolism, but all the other ones are fine.
what the fuck, D27?
listen. Just because I'm not binary, doesn't mean I should express myself.
Well, what?
D27 Nazi confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed.
What? So you were inspired by Spider-Man Full Mode. That inspired your camera action. Was there
Yes.
anything? Was there any other machinimas that inspired your machinima that you didn't make?
So funny
Maybe
enough,
a oneself. Mm.
so oneself actually did inspire. I think I watched the first 5 episodes already, and I think oneself kind of inspired it to be more humorous. Cause
Oh,
I mean, other than that, and
keep
I think
going.
it inspired me to take a lot more risks and do my own thing.
Hmm.
What? Because honestly, like your series is really good, and I feel like it's not like any other mission I've ever watched. No
Oh,
offense,
thank you.
Derelict.
None taken. Trust me.
Yes, this is
But
epic. Well, what other machinimas did you get
man,
inspired by being the chief?
um, maybe not on purpose. I think partially subconsciously I was a little inspired by it, but I don't think really that much. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
Trying to think of another source. Um, shit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
You probably nothing else. Nothing else.
yeah,
Definitely.
nothing really else except like oneself. Oh, Chewie's
Yep.
kind of inspired the
Oh,
humor to extent.
W.
But Chewie's oneself, non-machinimas inspired it too. Uh I think yeah, I can't list the non-machinimas ones at the moment, but I know a few things inspired the camera, the directing and all that, the voice had, you know.
You because obviously your moniker or your online moniker is D27 Shigu, and the main protagonist is called D27 as well, and their avatar bears a lot of likeness to your own avatar. Is the protagonist of D27 kind of like a sounding pad or like a conduit for your own voice to come through that character?
Yes, I wouldn't call them a self-insert because their personality differs from me. I'm not an asshole. sometimes. But funny enough, the name for the character came first before the YouTube name. I just took the YouTube name because I didn't feel like coming up with anything else.
I see.
And so D27 was just there. I was like, okay, let's do that. But I would say yes, they are like a conduit for my voice to come through. Uh, I think it also helps to write a character I kind of know something about. That's confusing, but you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, if you are comfortable with elaborating on that, I think me and Flick would be happy to listen to you.
Yes. So it's not really. I guess I can show what I'm going to do, but the D27 The Hunted has identity issues, so it's a lot easier to write about a character who's similar to me than like a character that isn't me with those type of issues. Because identity with me is very important. I think because the non-binary stuff.
Is D27 non-binary?
Um, Funny enough, they didn't have a gender when in 2021. So I kind of find it
Hmm.
funny that was a bit of a precursor to when I came out.
Well, you foreshadowed it yourself.
I didn't even know, but can we could we talk about that if that's okay?
Sure.
You can talk
Okay.
about anything. I mean, I talked
I
about my
mean,
dead dad, so we're dead.
but I think that when I came out, they like knew about this, right? You knew, I think, a week after I came out. I'm pretty sure. Uh, I think it disrupted a lot, and I think it kind of helped to show me what I really wanted with both my personal life and with machinima. Because when your eyes are open, you kind of realize, oh, this is what I want. So I kind of applied that to like my projects as well.
Do you
Hmm.
and that's helped you along your journey of coming out as non-binary? Do you feel like I don't want to be silly and say that making a machinima has made you comfortable in your skin, but has it at least allowed you to kind of hold a mirror up to yourself and deal with some degree of I don't know if it's dysmorphia, but some kind of the identity issues that you have?
Yes, to an extent, I would say. I think it taught me to be more expressive and just do my own thing instead
Sure.
of trying to be something else.
And I think a lot of people don't realize this. It's not exclusive to non-binary people or trans people or people on the LGBT spectrum, but even for artists, even like cis or straight artists could, use art as a way of developing some kind of identity in the world because I think a lot of artists live vicariously through their work and try to figure themselves out through art. I mean, it's David Bowie spoke a lot about that, how you use art to not just express yourself but discover yourself as well because it's all expression. He says the moment you start making art for other people, you kind of enter kind of scary territory because you lose the run of things and you might lose who you are in the process of it. So I'm glad that at the very least your art has been honest to yourself and that you've been honest to yourself this whole time and that you haven't been playing up to anybody else or at least trying to play the fiddle for anybody else. It's something to be admired at the very least.
How about you, Dale? Like, what do you think of your art? And thank you.
It's fucking shit. Next question.
It's that shit.
It's I don't want to talk about like what Chewie means until I finish it. But if you watch enough of the episodes and how maybe they relate to things like RB Retold or Abnormality 3, you'll probably seem to figure out where my heart is in terms of what I'm saying with my content. But yeah, or even Civil Discord, it's like there's a team between all of them that you'll probably pick up on if you watch them. But when you get to the final episode of Chewie's, because right now I'm working on Chewie 6, and there's going to be 7 episodes in total. And once I get to Chewie 7, and once the credits roll on that, it's not like Lost where everything's just going to click together. But if you've kind of been paying attention to a lot of the themes and ideas that I've been playing with, you'll you'll start to figure out what I've been saying to the audience and what I've been saying to myself this whole time. So that's kind of it's not a teaser, but it's just I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because I'm not finished writing Chewie 7 because it's the hardest one to write for a lot of reasons.
That's
Yeah,
deep, man.
I think you told me the plot of it. Well, the synopsis of the seventh and last one, so I would understand why it's hard for you to write.
Oh, damn, this sounds like a serious episode.
Yeah, it is. It's probably the only one in the whole series. There's jokes in there, but it's like for the most part, it's not particularly funny. Um, but it is
Like the rest of them? Ah,
uh well, in fairness, Chewie 6 is going to be like half and half. It's going to be half drama, half comedy because I'm trying to all the previous Chewie's episodes are about real people and loosely about real events. But for Chewie 6, it's going to be entirely about fictitious people, and there's only one person in there who's an actual real person. So it's going to go in a different direction. I think Chewie's 5 is the last Chewie's that you're going to be in a quote unquote safe place in terms of what's being conveyed to you and what's being told to you. Chewie 6 and 7 are both going to be departures.
Oh, I mean that's good that you're
oh,
trying new things.
Well,
And
since we're what you going ahead?
no, you go ahead.
I was just saying because while we're on the topic of Chewies and because I don't really have anywhere else to talk about it, I was going to say that there was plans for a Chewies movie at one stage, um, and it was going to be a parody of the movie Pulp Fiction, and it was going to be called Cuck Fiction, and it was basically I think what was it? Oh yeah, I only remember a handful of scenes I wrote for it, but it was about some of the people in the old Army the Chief server. Flick knows who I'm talking about, where you'd have two mods who were two people who were mods of the old Army the Chief server playing the roles of Jules and what was the name of Samuel L. Jackson's character in Pulp Fiction? I can't remember. Um,
Um,
but I basically I was the character of Marcellus Wallace, the kind of the crime lord. So you'd have that scene later on in the basement where I'm basically getting fucked, tied up to like a post or something, and I think Bruce Willis's character Dutch was going to be Captain Desi, where he kind of flees the scene and he can come back and save me, but he's like, and you know the way in the movie he picks up the katana, he like picks up the chainsaw, he picks up the shotgun, and eventually he lands on a katana. Basically, Desi picks up an energy sword, and he decides to free me. When these two guys are like these two trolls are basically fucking me. Um, I try to remember all the other things, but it was basically just a recreation of Pulp Fiction with a bunch of like in joke Discord references. But since a lot of those people kind of ejected themselves from the community, there was really no point on like following through on that plan, you know.
what could have been?
it could have
Mm.
been fun.
I mean, I don't know if I said it before, but Civil Discord was originally called Full Metal Faggot, and it was a parody of it was Full Metal Jacket, except it was about all the people in the old server, but like in the really early days, like people that I don't even think you would remember, Flick.
I love Civil Discord. And D37, have you ever watched Civil Discord?
Fuck. I think I did when I first met Derelict way back in 2021, but I don't think I've revisited yet.
That'd be a great machinima for you to watch for inspiration, because it's one of the greatest machinimas of all time, followed by one of the shittiest sequels.
It has the best
Oof.
sequel of all time, Flick. I hate it when you say that.
Speaking of
You
greatest
can, you can
machinimas
get
of all,
you can get both. You can know what to do and what not to do when you make a machinima.
speaking of greatest machinimas ever, how's that finale on One Step going, Philip?
Ooh,
Bitch,
Arthur.
stupid bitch. Oh dear.
I've heard on the I've heard on the QT that Flick has completed a single frame of the finale. So we're moving. We're making progress.
Yay!
Yeah, that's probably about right. No, that's actually not wrong. That's technically it's a couple of minutes, but anyway, what was I going to ask? D27. I can't think of a question. Derelict. Someone say a question, please.
How's Bugs Life 2 coming along?
It's not me. I'm not the. Hey, seriously. Oh my god.
Hey, listen,
Um,
in Flick's defense, Flick is quite a talented writer. He wrote a lot of really good stuff for Bugs Life too.
no, Derelict. No, we're not talking about. I know what scene you're talking about. No.
I didn't say any scene. You're the one who said a scene. So clearly, there's
Oof.
a particular scene in particular that you're talking about, Flick. And I think the
No,
audience
there's
appreciated it. You eliminated.
there's nothing. Stop this. No, grasshopper, get out of my room. Please don't hurt me. Oh,
Anyway,
look,
um,
Derek, we're here to interview D27. Like, seriously.
okay. Well, like, is there any kind of you said you've watched a little bit of one stuff and you've watched a little bit of my stuff. Is there any kind
Yes.
of creator that you feel influenced by that maybe you'd like to draw the attention of our viewers to, or even me and Flick to, that we might not be aware of, particularly on the likes of YouTube?
Man, shit, that's kind of a hard question. I don't think one creator really inspired me in a sense. I think it was multiple different sources. I can tell you who got me into machinima in the first place, and that was Spearhead, who doesn't do machinima anymore, which is sad because you see your favorite creator go, it gets kind of depressing. But he was the one that was like that made me go, "Oh, this looks cool. I'm going to do it." Um, but it wasn't just one person. I think it was multiple sources. Uh, man, that's a hard question. I seriously don't think it was just one creator. I think, but I can say that you and Flick were the ones that made me want to do more comedic stuff because it seemed a lot more fun.
Let me ask you this: have you ever
Yep.
been at a stage in your journey as a machinima creator where you've been discouraged or you've been disheartened, and I don't know if you've almost quit, but you hit a kind of a wall in the road, and I want to know, what did you do to overcome that, or how did you get past that?
Oh,
Two
please tell
times.
me.
2 times. When I first started, I remember I let viewers like people who said Mission but Dead is Dead kind of discourage me because it made me question why am I even doing this if this is not even a popular media. Eventually I got out of that when I realized I enjoyed doing it and it didn't really matter if it was popular or not to me because it was something I wanted to do, so I might as well fucking do it. Um
Hell yeah.
the second time I almost quit. Oh man, I don't even want to mention this, but I'm just going to say the name of the project. Was the whole situation with Axis. That almost made me quit because it made me hate Machinima because it was so emotion. It made me feel bad about, hey, it's bad for you to let your emotions rest so you can still work on projects. I won't go further with that because this is a podcast. I don't want, you know, make more bullshit. Plus, that thing is long and dead.
Mm, yeah.
Yes,
Surely there was
but
a
those,
there's a lesson. Yeah, go ahead.
but those were like the 2 times I wanted to quit.
I see. Like, have you ever? Well, wait. Click dead quick. Never mind. Let's move on.
You fucking asshole.
Oh
Stop
yeah,
bullying me on my own podcast. Like, seriously.
why you bully Fick,
I
Derelict?
know, he's a bully. He's always been a bully.
Yeah, but
He
that's
always
like
likes
half.
picking on people.
That's half. That's half the reason why people tune in. In fairness,
Oh yeah, I should mention that Derelict bullies me a lot. He says my auto obsession is a problem.
I know.
See? More evidence. You're a bully, Derelict. You should
Sad
make an
face.
answer series about how much of a fucking asshole you are.
I did. That was all of episode 5.
That should be fucking every episode. That should just be a
Okay,
different
in
reason
fair,
why you're a fucking asshole.
there's
Like,
a little bit of that.
seriously.
There's a little bit of that in episode 3. There's a little bit of that in episode 4, and there's a little bit of it in episode 2 as well.
It should be all the episodes.
Okay, well, do you know what, Flick? I hereby bestow the rights for Chewies to you, and you can make the series from now on.
Fine, I will. I'll make you. Well, I won't have to make you because you already are, but you'll be a fucking asshole for the whole thing.
Great.
Was
Seriously.
fuck.
Yes.
Derelict, you were in as a parody of Trump, right?
Manald Month, right, Flick?
Yes.
Such a
That
terrible
that was
performance.
that was funny. So, what made you want to be in oneself, Derelict? I
Oh,
might.
that's a good. Wait, was Manald Month? He was in episode 2 or 3, I think, because when Flick first came into the server, I thought he was a troll, and I hated hearing people talk about him because it was just like, it seemed like an elaborate fucking group. Um, you asked me why did I want to play Manald Month or why do I want to be in oneself. So, I think for a lot of people when they first watch oneself, especially the first episode, they have a hard time watching it because they think it's deliberately made like shit, and people feel kind of you know, if you look at the likes of the room or whatever, you can like have shitty content and it's fine. But the problem is if people think like you're intentionally making something shit, they feel like you're being dishonest or that you're lying to them, and people don't like that. So when I first watched the first episode of oneself, I was like, this is kind of annoying, and it's just someone trying to waste everyone's time. And then after I
Oof.
watched the second episode, I realized that Flick had a serious brain injury and that this was actually, serious content. So I said, oh yeah, I'd like to be part of this. And and at the time, like Flick, actually no, this is still the case. Flick has absolutely zero standards. So if you're someone who has like no voice box and has to squeak into a mic to communicate with people, that's good enough for Flick. So that's what Flick chose. And
Well, I don't like leaving people out. I like
you don't like
Aw.
because when Derelict, when I was younger, I really wanted to be a part of Machinima, but no one would let me be in their Machinimas. So
Phil Collins.
I don't want people to feel left out of Machinimas.
That's sweet.
It was actually
Derelict, why
it
can't
was
you be
actually
that?
one of my childhood dreams to be in a Machinima or to make a
Aw.
Machinima, and my childhood me never got to achieve those dreams like many others.
Well, that's not true. You got to make that WWE machinima about who had the biggest cock.
Well, it's,
What? What? Wait, wait,
no,
what?
no.
Yeah.
Well,
Watch the pilot episode.
that that was one that wasn't uploaded to YouTube because I didn't know how to, and two, it was specifically a Halo machinima that I always dreamed of being a part of. Ever since actually, it was the Forgotten Spartans that really made me want to make machinima more than Arby and the Chief did.
I
And
watched.
I always wanted to be in someone's machinima, but no one would ever let me because my voice was too squeaky, or I would just, I wasn't a good body actor, and like it made me sad.
Oh.
Like,
But
seriously.
you eventually made your own thing, and that's good. You were like
Yeah, but
Thanos, and you're like, I'll do it myself.
my fun fact: one of my dreams was to be on the Machinima channel, which was probably a good
Oof.
thing that never happened.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Obby and the Chief, Dale, like, you want to talk about Retoad and Obby Bowl?
I mean, yeah, you've worked on a couple of RB retools, and obviously I'm very thankful of that as well because we do need people, and I like the variety that people give. It's not just about people contributing to this series, but it's also about people giving their own flair on things. And the funny thing is that when you did the first retool, I don't even think you'd watched any of RB Chief. So you were
No,
probably the only person in the entire history of Retold to have made a scene who had never watched Arabian Chief before, which is really interesting.
but I did watch it. I think afterwards. I think I
Hmm.
watched. What? Where did I stop? I think around Endgame or season 5. I stopped. I kind of stopped watching, or I forgot about it. But I watched the series up to then, and I kind of enjoyed it. I really liked it. Uh, I haven't gotten to. I think my favorite character has to be Obby because he's the most logical. But I kind of like Chief because he's funny and kind
Do
of
you feel?
racist.
Whoa! Well, okay, that's something new we've learned about D27. Yeah, you should definitely watch season 6 and 7. It will be
I
worth your
should.
time. You don't need to watch season 8 though. That's a piece of shit.
That's kind of true.
uh, I mean, I also watched the what was it called? The reboot short that John made, and Scissors is my new favorite character. What was the Scissors name?
Scissors. I think it was a scissors, right?
I don't know. That was shit too. Anyway,
That was all right. It was all right.
It
that
was
was
okay,
shit.
but damn. But you
That's
wanna
right.
talk about Obby Bowl and how
Yeah,
you cheated in that?
totally. Yeah. So me and Charlie wanted to do an episode of RB Bowl for quite some time and face off against each other because there's always been a little bit of a rivalry between the two of us. And when we're doing RB Bowls, you can't just pair random people together. It has to kind of make sense. And I want to say that the Spooky Bowl was in the works for almost 8 or 9 months. And once the mod tools had come up for MCC, I, one of my lifelong ambitions was to mod a map, make my own multiplayer map. And given that I think it was this time last year that we started RB Bowl season 3, and the first episode was in July, the second episode was in August, the third episode was in September. So they were month long projects to undertake. So with October coming around, it made sense to try and see if we could shoot for something at Halloween. That way, rather than having to put out something mid-month, I would have the entirety of the month to kind of plug it together. And so we decided to make it Spooky Bowl. And I remember we went back and forth on so many names. We had Boom Bowl, D Bowl, DD Bowl, um, and eventually the Spooky Bowl seemed like the one that made the most sense because it would tie together with the Halloween aesthetic, and that way we
Yeah.
could make the map kind of like horror themed or flood themed. And although I didn't get to put in all the stuff I wanted to do in that map, I'm still really proud of how it came out, you know? And it tied together really well with all the Blender stuff we did too.
Yeah. I feel like that was very fun to do, even though I lost. Fun fact, folks, he wanted to put in shootable autos, but he didn't have time.
Yeah, that would have taken a massive amount of work, way more than I thought.
But it came out pretty good. I really liked the map. And I don't know if you released it to the public or not, but it was pretty good. I
I
like.
wanna,
Do you still have the file?
I think I do, because I was doing some cleaning there a week or two ago, and I came across all like the scenario files and shit. So, like if there's someone who can explain how to upload a Halo 3 modded map to Steam Workshop for Dummies, let me know because I don't have the patience to look at a 3 hour tutorial. It's just not it's not on my cards right now.
It was pretty fun to do. What else have we worked on together? Um we did Chewies too. I did voice acting for that. I also did some body acting.
That's true. You were in the fifth one for awards night, and it's always my prerogative to try and have if people are voice acting, to try and have people play themselves, especially if they're
Yeah.
within like my orbit of content creators. For example, like Flick voices himself in it. You voice yourself. Blizz voices themselves. Um, Beam technically voices himself. John voices himself. So you'll see that a lot of content creators typically represent themselves. The only exceptions are if I'm having characters that are unnamed, like the announcer for the award ceremony. In that case, I'll probably go to Casting Call Club and kind of get a hold of someone there.
Yeah. Because you said your entire voice cast was 6 is Meow Casting Club people, right?
Whenever I
Well,
have to hire someone who I'm not familiar with prior, if I'm looking for like legitimate voice talent, not to say that people I already know don't have voice talent, but if I want, I like to have variety in my content, and I don't like to go work with the same people over and over because I want to give everybody a chance to spotlight. And Casting Call Club has it's a treasure trove of people who are extremely talented but have no access to audiences. So when you go in there, you can get a lot of talented work relatively cheaper for free, and they'll work hard for you. So that's where I usually go for unnamed roles and stuff. At least when it comes to Chewies.
Hmm.
are, th- are there any other projects you two are working on at the moment other than your main stuff?
You go first, Flick.
And still oneself.
Um,
Um, Beast today. Oh, well, actually, no, actually, no.
no, say
No.
it.
Actually, I will be. Well, it'll already be out actually by the time this podcast is out, but I will be uploading a reaction to your show, D27.
Yo, free advertisement.
Free advertisement. And I hope you will learn a lot from my reaction.
I'll
'Cause,
watch it definitely.
I'm very honest. Let's just say that.
Oh, oh.
I'm
Honestly, is the best policy, I
very
guess.
honest. I'm a very
How,
honest man. A
how
very
about you,
honest man.
Derelict?
Oh,
So, no, I mean, what other projects are you working on other than Chewies?
Um, I'm working for a guide for Halo Machinima, something that's a little more up to date, a little more comprehensive. I've been editing it for because it's all recorded. I did the audio at least, so I've been working on it for the last month or two. My IRL work got insanely busy over the last couple of weeks, so I haven't had time to work on it. But I hope that maybe towards the end of the year, I'll be able to, squeeze it out because there's a lot of good stuff in there. And between John's tutorial coming out and my tutorial coming out, I think there's been a bit of a bell curve, or at least a big jump in where technology is at. So I think for where we're at now in terms of technology wise, it's never been more accessible. And especially when you consider the likes of Blender and stuff, like Blender has made the likes of making animated sequences that would have been in Rooster Teeth season 6 or whatever a lot more accessible. So you'll see that in things like Chewie's episode 5.
Or
So
RB Bowl?
or RB Ball, yeah. So I'm excited to put that stuff out there and kind of. I don't think it'll necessarily revive the Halo Machinima scene, but at the very least, it'll make people feel like they're not intimidated to start, because I think a lot of people that we know, three of us know, want to start making Halo Machinima, but feel very daunted by it, either by the community aspect or by the tech aspect. And really, it shouldn't be that scary because all you have to do is just start.
I Word of advice to anyone listening to this: just do it. Don't think too hard about it. Just make your first machinima. It really doesn't need to be like the best thing ever. I bet you, everyone in this podcast, their first project was shit.
yeah,
Just,
I don't know
All
about
of mine
that,
were
but
all of mine were based.
are you
mm,
sure about that, Derelict? You want
Well,
me
and
to like look for that old video you made?
do because an Abnormality 3 was literally made intentionally bad. Civil Discord is the first serious machinima I made, and I think it's aged magnificently.
Oh
he doesn't have a point now.
well, my point went down the drain. So oof.
Mm,
Well,
mm,
someday I'll share the IRL stuff I've made, like film stuff, and then you'll see just how bad what I was doing was.
Oh,
mm. So,
Um,
I can't wait to see that.
well, we're gonna have to see
same.
your stuff too, Flick,
I do have
Mhm.
real life stuff somewhere. I can send it to you.
like on your channel.
Yeah, not on my channel, but
Are you
I also did
Oh,
like student films. I did.
I
okay?
guess the viewers, I guess the listeners will never get to see this stuff. You're
um,
poor listeners. You're just teasing content they can't ever see.
you can never see it. It's hidden. But
Ah, fuck. Oh,
so
sorry,
there
that was
was
just
a one.
that was bad of me.
There,
Anyway,
ooh, so if you could make any machinima you wanted to, what would you make it about? Out of
yeah,
curiosity.
I'd make the finale for oneself, but if I couldn't do that one, if I could make any machinima,
Like with
um,
any cast member.
can it be any game?
Yes, it can be any game.
That's a good question, actually. What game would I put theater in Forge mode into? I think I would put it into PS1 Bugs Life, because I think it'd be really cool to make like Bugs Life 2, but like you use the PS1 models, because they have a lot
That
of charm, and that'd actually be kind of cool. Someone, if there's a talented PS modder, make that mod, please. Watch if you're listening to this.
do it. Do it. Make that mod. Whoever you
And
are.
what about you, Mr. Perfect, Derelict Country?
Um, What games do I fucking like?
You like autos?
I would like to make a machinima in some of the Zelda games.
Really?
Maybe Twilight Princess, maybe. Um,
You're a
I'm not.
Twilight Princess.
Yeah,
Oh,
because Twilight Princess has a lot of stuff that's was really, really groundbreaking at the time. And then there was a period where it looked a little bit old because Skyward Sword came out, or Breath of the Wild came out, and now it's kind of nostalgic. But it's a good kind of nostalgic, you know. It kind of captures that kind of period of gaming. I don't know. Fuck. It's a weird question to ask because I don't look at any other game through machinima like I do with Halo. But like if you go onto websites like the models resource, you can get rips of all those models, you know. So it's not that
yeah.
hard to at least make some kind of simulated machinima. Like I always say that the Halo archive is fantastic because it's all the models you would ever need for Halo. Most of them are rigged and they're all high quality to use in Blender. And provided you know like the bare bones of that software, you can make a lot of really cool stuff happen, and you don't have to be particularly good at it. Um, I don't know. It's a weird question. What fucking game would I want to make machinima with? Maybe Tekken 5 or something. I don't know.
What?
Nice. Tekken 5 is a fighting game.
Oh.
It's where you beat people up and like that's literally it.
I'm only thinking
I've
about
never
games that I like acted out. Like I didn't do machinima, but me and my friend would like act out stuff with our player models, like action, like digital action figures.
anything you guys want to talk about?
Um, I wanted to talk about your writing process, or at least like what your process is like going from just like or the beginning, middle, and end of making an episode of The Haunted. Like, what's your process like?
Uh, hmm. Let me think of it. So, first I start up with like thinking the idea that I want to do for that episode specifically. Uh, I write down a outline for it saying A this happens, B this happens, C this happens, and then I think of the maps I want and I write around those maps. And then we do the body editing and then I edit it. Bam, it's out. I think a generic way of making something. I don't think there's anything I do that's unique to it other than change the idea like 5 or 6 times. Cause I think the Haunted Redux, the first episode, is the first time I've ever cut out a lot of dialogue and scenes because it didn't feel like it flowed well. And then maybe I release a director's cut, but I kind of doubt it because I kind of like how it turned out eventually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's how I really do it. I don't think I do anything particularly unique to that. And sometimes the idea phase I think takes maybe 2 weeks, and then some things change. Um, but that's pretty much what I do.
What's the what role does music have in your series? Like, what's the significance of music in The Hunted?
What do you mean by that?
What I noticed is
Music.
that you had you had done a teaser for the Redux, and you'd use one of the tracks from the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, and you didn't go with it. But I'm sure that you have at least when you're doing your process for making shows, you probably think about what song fits, or is it just something that what fits in a moment, or do you kind of when you're writing, do you connect like a track with a scene? I'm just worried. I'm just curious about how sound plays into what you do.
I do actually write a scene when listening to a specific track, and I make it flow well with that. I try to because I'm trying to think of an example. When I was writing Redux or just coming up with the concept of the story, I think I listened to a lot of Western tracks because I felt like it was a space Western in a sense. It didn't become that. But Then I listen to a few serious tracks from like some movies. Uh, for like the scenes where characters are talking. For action scenes, I listen to a lot of metal music for some reason. But yes, I do like write the scenes with sound in mind, but I don't ever put the music in there. It just helps me focus on the type of scene I want.
That's pretty
Sure.
cool. When's the next episode of the Haunted coming out?
Whenever it comes out. I'm currently writing it, but I have no idea when it's going to come out. It'll come out when it's ready, basically. I don't want to give a release date because as most people know this, I don't ever keep up to my release dates except like the one time I did.
Oh, pretty cool. Well, I know you're making the episode. There was a scene that I helped body act that wasn't in uh, episode one.
Oh yeah,
So,
that was one of the scenes I would cut because I didn't feel like it gelled well.
oh yeah, are you putting that scene in episode two?
I put I use those scenes for like other episodes, of course, because
Oh,
it saves time.
okay, that's
Is that
fine.
was that the scene with the elite at Ghost Town or whatever?
No, he's talking. Yeah, we
Fine.
did 2 scenes together. We did the Ghost Town one, we also did the, one what was that map? The 410 map in Halo 3, I forgot the name.
Oh yeah.
Gorgeous. No, it was the his up. It was high top. It was his pap. It was his pap or something. I can't
His
remember.
pop. Oh, Citadel. I think it's called Citadel. But I cut those scenes just because they didn't flow well with what I was trying to tell.
Right, I see. Because
I
people
see.
do get people naturally get kind of curious about deleted scenes and stuff because that's usually kind of stuff that goes out on the home release, and obviously none of us are putting out DVDs or box sets. So I was just wondering, if we'd ever see that scene again somewhere.
Well, that game
Maybe.
time to go.
I think when I get the other episodes out, they'll probably be there because I don't want them to go to waste, and because those episodes were kind of hard to make, so I want to do them. I want to keep them and not make them rot in my hard drive.
Have you ever done that before? Have you ever reused old material for a new project?
Yes, the Hunted 21 we use a lot of footage from 2018.
I think I did notice that actually.
It I still had some of the video files unedited, and I decided to use them to take time to like save time making the episode. But there were I think episode 3 was the one with the least scenes we used. And I think episode 1 and 2 were the ones with the most reused scenes. Fun fact, one scene in particular, it was where Alice and D27 talked and they quit. That scene was from the canceled episode 4 of the 2018 one. So it was I I kind of reused that scene because I didn't want it to go to waste. So I've done it before, and if I do it with Redux, I feel like it'll probably flow better with everything. We'll see. I know.
Let's
We'll
say that
see.
someone was watching The Hunted and was having maybe a tough time following it. Would you be able to summarize what the show is about in a few words?
Which one?
Well, let's go to Redux because like that's probably the most relevant iteration of the show right now, right?
Yes. I would say it's about a bounty hunter and AI traveling the world and having their bond put to a test.
That's
That's
interesting. My next question is, and you don't have to spoil any of this because I don't think any of the previous versions of The Hunted had a kind of a relationship between a Spartan and an AI. Is this something that you're going to expand on a lot? Like, are you going to lean into the relationship between this AI and D27, or is it something that's just going to be like occasionally there in the background?
It's going to lean on a lot. The
Okay.
focus is on their relationship. Um, in a way, they are they at first they kind of don't like each other, and then they grow into like a bond, and they grow into like they trust each other, and that's
Spoiler.
why it is. That's what. Oh yeah, I forgot. Flick plays him. Flick
Yeah.
plays Rudy. Uh, Rudy's actually a named after one of my friends. So, and I picked that name because it sounded less serious. It's like naming them Paul. But yeah, their bond will be the center of the show. And AIs in general is going to be a big subject of the show itself. I won't say how, but it's going to be a very big deal.
Wait, am I? Does that mean I'm one of the main characters in the show?
Yes, you're one of the main characters. You're
Is
the
it is my
second.
wait, my
Well,
character's more important than Derelict's?
I don't have a
D-
character.
Dale like had like one line, and all he said was "bitch." Uh,
Yeah. I was wondering who that bad voice acting was.
Yeah, that was you.
Yeah,
ooh,
you fucking bitch.
Oh, there's me.
D27
something.
casted me at a higher role than you. Cunt.
What did you say? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Nothing.
Oh.
Anyway, what were you saying, D27?
Fun fact about Rudy. I think he went through 3 or 4 recastments. I remember the first actor had to leave because their life got too busy. The second one was like, I can't do this because I don't feel like I'm good enough. Which, they were. The third one was you. So Rudy was particularly the hardest character to get out because how many people were like, nah, I don't want to do it.
The first guy's life was too busy. I had like 2 lines in this episode.
Well, yeah, one
I I
line.
I recorded that line in like 30 seconds. I don't understand why he was too busy.
I don't
Seriously.
either.
I
But
think
yeah. I considered Dale like for Rudy at one point too. But can you Rudy is supposed to be like this innocent character, which is ironic
no.
because Flick
Yeah.
ain't innocent.
I think I
But
think I think if you casted Derelict, they would have ruined the show. So I think you made a good choice.
because like your voice, it's not like what's the word? You sound like a innocent person if that makes sense, even though you're not.
I'm
So
innocent.
that's why I cast you. I remember I told Dale like about it. And he was like, "That's a good casting." He was like,
Oh,
"That's a good choice."
I hope we'll have some juicy lines to dig my teeth into, or dig my
Why did
yeah
you
my
say
teeth.
it like? But I remember Dale like I showed you the series a lot like doing its development. Remember?
You did, yes.
What were your thoughts on everything that was transpiring?
I mean, it was a work in progress. I mean, when I make stuff, I don't usually show works in progress because things are subject to change, and some people will kind of draw conclusions very easily over stuff that's being worked on. So when I'm watching someone else's stuff, I try not to be too hard on it. I'll give feedback for sure, but all I can say is that there's a clear progression going on in your content, and I'm proud of you, and it seems like you're getting better all the time.
Oh, that was the nicest thing you've ever said.
I know, right?
There was. I want to tell a story. There was one particular part in the first. Remember that the shot in the bushes, like the
I
first
think
thing
so.
you see. Do you remember when you told me there was like what was it called? There was like jiggling in the camera, but it was barely noticeable.
Yes.
That pissed me off to no end. I hated that. I'm not blaming you. I'm just like saying I remember that was like one of the most stressful parts because I didn't see it. For the
Listen, that's all part of the gig, you know. When you do the editing process, you'll see things that you wish you didn't see, or things that you accidentally left in there, and it's usually like it's the process of just do it again until you get it right. Do it again and again and again and again. And what I see in some of your earlier work is that there's a lot of shooting something one time and then just calling it a day and not going back and making sure you get it right. And that's something that kills filmmakers in real life, and it kills machinima directors as well, because it seems to lead one to believe that anything is good enough. And I think you could say whatever you want about other people's content, but when you're making your own stuff, only the best should be good enough. You should be a perfectionist. You should push yourself to do the best you can, because it's how you represent yourself. And if you take it seriously and you want this to be like your job or whatever, you should push to do the hardest. You can't really just half-ass it and call it a day. And the fact that you were pissed off by that is good, but I mean, it's only good enough if it calls you to action. If it calls you to fix that and get better. There's really no point in being pissed off for no reason if it doesn't lead to something.
there was that brings up another good point. Do you remember the audio issues that this series originally had?
Sure.
You remember like that weird clipping sound? I remember getting so pissed at figuring it out that you eventually helped me. Oh yeah, Adobe has this little thing that like transitions that helps it sound better.
Hmm.
So that helped.
And
Um,
that's good stuff to have.
can I talk about the color correction choices?
You can
Because
talk about whatever.
I really want to talk about those. So for the what was that map called? The first scene in the entire in chapter one. I the reason why it's color graded like that is to show morning. It's supposed to like look like it's morning time. It's like something like 6:14 a.m. or something like that. And then like when we get to the city, it looks like that because I want to show pollution using the green effect. It also helps the red and like other brighter colors stand out. Um, what were your thoughts about that color correction choice, or you were like, eh?
I liked it in the city. That opening shot that you did, like that kind of dolly shot from left to right of the electric signs and stuff. That's probably the best color grading I've seen you do so far. I really like that a lot. It was. Did you use an adjustment flare for that scene?
No, I didn't use. Wait, I think later down the line I started using adjustment layer, but I just started copying and pasting all of it together.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where when you're doing a scene and you're going to make changes to it. Like if you're going to put a color grade in an entire scene, obviously you have to use an entire grade, and that's absolutely fine. But one thing you have to be super mindful of is that you can put in a grade on an entire scene with an adjustment layer, but that doesn't mean you don't make tweaks the other accompanying shots, because different shots are going to have different levels of exposure and going to have different levels of gamma, and you need to be mindful about like how you kind of, how do I say this, you tweak and change those. It's almost never, it can stay in the same kind of LUT or color palette, but it's almost never going to be the same in terms of like the very minute details.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like some of it didn't match up, or at least looked out of place. It looked weird. I see. I know what you're saying. Like some of the color grading didn't really match up, and there wasn't really an effort to make it look different or stand out.
Well,
Well,
it's not even so much. It's just that sometimes there's some shots where we miss detail, or some things get like, one thing that you hear sometimes in film is like the blacks, how you treat the blacks, and if you use
that's
the
racist.
spectrum, I know, right? But there's a spectrometer in the in Adobe Premiere, and it'll show you where your darkest dark is and where your lightest light is, and you usually have to keep your two light levels between those. Like keep the black has to be like within that spectrometer, and the light has to be between. The light can't be going above that safe zone, and the black can't be going below it. Otherwise, you're gonna have you're going to start losing details in the background or whatever in the foreground as well. So that's just something to be mindful of. And once you start moving towards more advanced or more intermediate color correction, you'll start to notice that kind of stuff as well.
And I hope I can improve with that with color correction. I also edited one particular detail. And I don't think it was seen. I think you know what I'm talking about, right? When D27 punches the elite, it flashes for 2 frames into like this whitish brownish look.
Maybe.
But that was a fun thing to do. I feel like Redux was where I let myself go and just experiment and do whatever. I didn't like do things that wouldn't have worked in my opinion. I just wanted to do things that I just wanted to have fun. Because at the end of the day, this is all fun unless you make it utterly depressing and it's not fun. Isn't that right, Flick?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying.
Can you just summarize what Charlie just said back to us, Flip, just to make sure you're listening?
Yeah, Flick.
Yes, that was a very good discussion you and Derelict were having, and I was listening very intently. So
Uh-huh.
I have no one. You were talking about color grading and coloring bushes and beaches and shit.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's a good place to leave it at, but before we kind of play ourselves out, is there anything that you're working on, Charlie, or anything you want to make us aware of before we tune out for the night?
Charlie bit my finger.
Well, I'm of course working on the second episode of The Hunted Redux. I'm also doing another Retold, but it's about Spider-Man this time, the first Raimi movie. No idea when that's coming out. Uh, but that's pretty much it. I'm chilling. I have my own channel and stuff, so fun times. But thanks for having me here, Derelict and Flick. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I think
Uh,
this might be one of the better episodes of the podcast. Was that good?
Yay!
Flick, do you want to sing the outro song real quick?
There's an outro.
Um, okay. My favorite shoe. How do you say your name?
D27 Shigu.
My favorite Shigu isn't D1. D2 isn't my favorite Shigu. D3 isn't my favorite Shigu. D4 isn't my favorite Shigu. 5 isn't my favorite Shigu. 6 isn't my favorite Shigu. 7 isn't my favorite Shigu. 8 isn't my favorite Shigu. 9 isn't my favorite Shigu. 10 isn't my favorite Shigu. 11 isn't my favorite Shigu. 12 isn't my favorite Shigu. 13 isn't my favorite Shigu. 14 isn't my favorite Shigu. 15 isn't my favorite Shigu. 17 isn't my favorite Shigu. 18 isn't my favorite Shigu. 19 isn't my favorite Shigu. 20 it's 20 isn't my favorite Shigu. 21 isn't my favorite Shigu. 22 isn't my favorite Shigu. 23 isn't my favorite Shigu. 24 isn't my favorite Shigu. 25 isn't my favorite Shigu. 26 is my favorite Shigu. Because my favorite Shigu is the
Okay,
27.
bye everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.
Autos.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.